So you ask an AI to write an email for you, or maybe come up with a recipe. You hit enter and poof, there it is. But have you ever stopped to think about what's really going on behind that screen? I mean, is it just I don't know, a ghost in the machine, just a bunch of clever software kind of floating around in the cloud somewhere? Well, the reality is a lot more, well, concrete. And I mean that literally. We're talking steel, massive buildings, and an absolutely insane amount of power. See, building the future of AI, it turns out, isn't just about writing code. It's about construction. And right now, one company is making get this, $50 billion bet on it. Yeah, this isn't your average software update. This is a full-blown industrial revolution happening on a massive scale. And it's happening right now, laying the literal foundation for the AI that you're going to be using tomorrow. All right, so let's break this down. What is this $50 billion bet all about? Well, it comes from Anthropic, the folks behind the AI model Claude. They're making a huge, huge move. For years, the game has been to rent your computer power from the big guys like Amazon or Google. But Anthropic? Nope. They're building their own custom AI factories from scratch in places like Texas and New York. That's like going from renting an apartment to deciding to build your own skyscraper. And their CEO, Dario Amodei, he put it pretty simply. He basically said, look, if we're going to build AI that can tackle the world's biggest problems, we can't just keep renting space in someone else's building. We have to build the whole thing ourselves. It's a bold vision for sure. Okay, but here's where things get really wild. Anthropic's huge bet, it's not happening in a vacuum, not even close. It's just one move in this massive, high-stakes AI arms race for raw computing power. And in this race, $50 billion, well, that's just the price to get in the game. Just look at these numbers for a second. Anthropic's $50 billion plan is already one of the biggest infrastructure projects in U.S. history. And yet, it's absolutely dwarfed by the competition. OpenAI is talking about a project worth over $500 billion. And Meta, they're looking at a jaw-dropping $600 billion. I mean, wow. This isn't just an arms race anymore. This is a full-on battle of the titans. And it's not just the AI companies going it alone either. You've got this whole ecosystem popping up. Anthropic is partnering with a specialized builder called Fluidstack. OpenAI is linking up with huge players like Oracle and SoftBank for their Stargate project. And then there's Meta, who's just, building its own private empire of data centers. The message couldn't be clearer. If you want to own the future, you've got to build it. Literally. So this all leads to a really important question, right? Why the sudden gold rush to build? I mean, for years, the standard playbook was just to rent your computing power from cloud giants like Amazon Web Services or Google Cloud. So why is everyone suddenly so eager to pour billions and billions of dollars into their own concrete and steel? Well, here's how you got to think about it. Renting from the cloud is super flexible, no doubt, but it's kind of like trying to build a Formula One race car in a generic one-size-fits-all auto shop. Sure, you can do it, but it's never going to be perfectly optimized. Now, building your own custom factory? Yeah, it's a massive upfront cost, but the payoff is huge. We're talking about specialized AI data centers that can be up to 40% more efficient. Think about that. That's more AI horsepower for every single dollar spent and every watt of electricity used. In a race this tight, that is an absolute game changer. And that efficiency, man, it is absolutely critical. Why? Because all this shiny new infrastructure, all these billions of dollars, it all slams into one fundamental, non-negotiable physical wall: electricity. This is the one resource you just can't code your way around. So if you look at how data centers use power today, AI is actually a pretty small piece of the pie, only about 14%. But here's the kicker. That little slice is growing so unbelievably fast that it's forcing the entire pie to get way, way bigger. Just take a look at this projection. By 2030, the U.S. is expected to need an additional 120 gigawatts of electricity. And get this, half of that new demand, 60 gigawatts, is projected to come from data centers alone. So, how much power are we actually talking about here? It's a huge number, hard to wrap your head around. Well, to put it in perspective for you, that new electricity demand, just for U.S. data centers, it's roughly the same as the entire peak power demand of Italy. Let that sink in. We're talking about needing to generate enough new power to run an entire country just for our data. And if you think that's crazy, hold on, it gets even wilder. Researchers are now projecting that by 2030, to train just one single top-of-the-line AI model, you might need the power output of 8 nuclear reactors. 8. An entire fleet of nuclear power plants just to teach one AI. Now you start to see why this is such a frantic, desperate race to lock down power, right?
Okay, so the numbers are astronomical. The power demands are frankly a little terrifying. But let's bring this back down to earth. What does this whole infrastructure war actually mean for you, for me, for the AI tools we might want to use in our businesses?
All right, so what are the big takeaways here? Well, first, it means that the most powerful, cutting-edge AI is probably going to be controlled by the very few companies that can afford to build these digital empires. This creates what they call a capital moat, basically a barrier to entry so high that it's almost impossible for new startups to compete at that frontier level. And this is the most important part for you. The quality of the AI tools you use, right? How fast they are, how smart they are, that is going to be directly linked to the physical power grids and server farms their creators own. Oh, and of course, this whole construction boom is creating insane demand for everything from GE power turbines to those all-important NVIDIA GPUs that make the magic happen.
So when you see all this spending, all this construction, it really leaves us with one massive question. Are we watching the foundation of a brand new world being built right before our eyes? Or are we just witnessing the inflation of the biggest AI bubble in history? I guess the answer to that will be written in concrete and steel over the next few years. If this video opened your eyes to what's possible, hit that like button and subscribe for more practical, no-hype AI strategies for growing your business.